How's your heart today? When we were little, our minds were full of questions. Why is the sky blue? Why do apples have that name? Why does the giraffe have such a long neck? And does it ever get tired? We asked why to everything. Because when you're a child, you don't know much. And that, somehow, is your greatest gift. A child's mind is wide open, like an empty cup, ready to be filled with wonder, with colors, and with stories yet to be told. But something happens when we grow up. Our cup starts to overflow. It's full of opinions, memories, and fear. We stop saying the words, "I don't know," because we're scared of being judged, of seeming unprepared, of not being enough. And just like that, curiosity fades. In Japanese Zen, there's a word for this: Shoshin, the beginner's mind. Sho means beginning, Shen means heart. Together they mean the heart at the beginning. A heart that's curious, open, and alive. It invites us to let go of what we think we know and see life as if it's the very first time. Because the moment we believe we know everything, we stop learning, we stop seeing, we stop being moved. Take Claude Monet, for example. Before he became the father of Impressionism, he painted like everyone else, by the rules, by the book. His early paintings were beautiful, but they didn't breathe, they didn't feel. Until one day in 1872, he painted Impression, Sunrise. He didn't try to capture the exact scene, the boats, the horizon, the perfect light. He simply painted what he felt: the chill of morning, the softness of mist, the warmth of the rising sun. A critic mocked him, called it just an impression, not a real painting. But Monet smiled. He took that insult and turned it into a movement. Impressionism was born from the courage to be misunderstood. Monet's story reminds us, even masters must return to the heart of a beginner, because only when we let go of what we know can we discover something new. If everyone had believed horses were the only way to travel, we wouldn't have cars. If everyone had been satisfied with landlines, we wouldn't have smartphones. Every revolution begins with one small question: why must it be this way? And one quiet whisper: could there be another? Humility is the language of true intelligence. Those who keep listening, keep growing. Not long ago, I met a university student in Vietnam. She was full of dreams, eager, bright, hopeful. When I asked her about English, she smiled shyly and said, "Just enough to get by." But as we talked, I realized it wasn't enough to use. It was barely enough to remember. She'd learned years ago, then stopped. Not because she didn't care, but because she was afraid to start again. Afraid of being bad at it. Afraid of looking lost. And that fear, more than anything, was holding her back from the life she wanted. Starting again feels hard, especially when we think we should already know. But returning to the beginner's mind means giving yourself permission to learn again, to start small, to build slowly, to breathe. Because mastery isn't about knowing everything. It's about being willing to stay curious. I used to love going to art museums, but I always believed I couldn't paint. Then one day someone left a comment. As an artist, they said, painting well is mostly practice. Talent just keeps you curious long enough to improve. That sentence changed everything. So I picked up a brush again, and for the first time in years, I allowed myself to make something ugly. And you know what? It was freeing. Now I paint with acrylics. They dry fast. They forgive mistakes. If I mess up, I paint over it, again and again. Every painting goes through an ugly phase. The first layer looks wrong, too raw, too rough. But if you stay, if you breathe through it, it slowly becomes beautiful. That's life too. If you wait to be perfect, you'll never begin. As Samuel Beckett wrote, ever tried, ever failed, no matter, try again, fail better. Painting taught me something. When I stopped chasing perfection, I started feeling alive again. And maybe that's what beginning really means. To be alive, to try, to not know, and still, to keep moving. But why is starting so hard? Maybe because it's different. Every new chapter asks us to leave something behind. When I left Vietnam to study abroad, when I quit my job, when I moved again, None of it was easy, but every ending was also a doorway. Every season, a new version of me. Someone once said, life isn't like a movie. It's more like a long-running series. Every season changes you. Some are bright and full of laughter. Others are heavy, quiet, uncertain. People come and go. They might meet you in season 1 or season 5, but not everyone stays till the finale, and that's okay. Because each version of you is still you. Learning, falling, beginning again. Starting again feels hard because you're stepping off the map. There's no script, no guide, no guarantee, but maybe that's what makes it sacred. Maybe the path that scares you most is the one that brings you closest to your heart. It's never too late to become who you want to be. I hope you live a life you're proud of, and if not, I hope you have the strength to start again. The poet Rainer Maria Rilke once wrote, "Be patient toward all that is unsolved in your heart, and try to love the questions themselves. Do not seek the answers, because you would not yet be able to live them. Live the questions now, and perhaps someday, you will live your way into the answer." Life isn't a test. There's no perfect answer. Sometimes the answer finds you while you're walking alone through a crowded city, watching clouds drift, or daring to try again. After being afraid for too long, maybe we don't need to rush toward clarity. Maybe we just need to live with gentle curiosity. Beginner's mind isn't a destination. It's a way of living. A reminder to stay open, to keep learning, to keep soft. There will be seasons that aren't beautiful, days that feel heavy, but they too will pass. Tomorrow becomes today, and as long as your heart stays curious, you can always begin again. This is Mindlight, a space to breathe, to reflect, and to return to yourself. If this brought you peace, subscribe and share this light with someone who might need it. Until next time, keep your beginner's heart alive.